Hi guys, I'm back. Today I'm going to read Judges 18 to 21, Ruth 1 to 2, Proverbs 6, and Psalm 130. Let's get started. In those days there was no king in Israel, and in those days the tribe of the people of Dan was seeking for itself an inheritance among the people of to dwell in, and for until then no inheritance among the tribes of Israel had fallen to them. So the people of Dan sent 5 able men from the whole number of their tribe, from Zorah and from Eshtaol to spy out the land and to explore. He said to them, "Go and explore them." And when they came to the hill country of Ephraim, to the house of Micah the Moshe, and they were by the house of Micah, they recognized the voice of the young lady, and they turned aside and said to him, "Who brought you here? What are you doing in this place? And what is your business here?" And he said to him, "This is how Micah dealt with me. He has hired me, and I have become his priest." And they said, "Inquire of God, please, that we may know where the journey on which we are setting out will succeed." And the priest said to them, "Go in peace. The journey on which you go is under the eye of the Lord." And the 5 men departed and came to Laish and saw the people who were there, how they lived in security, after the manner of the Sidonians, quiet and unsuspecting, lacking nothing that is in the earth and possessing wealth, and how they were far from the Sidonians and had no dealings with anyone. And when they came to their brothers, Zorah and Eshtaol, their brothers said to them, "What do you report?" They said, "Arise, and let us go up against them. We have seen the land, and behold, it is very good. And will you do nothing? Do not be slow to go to enter in and possess the land. And as soon as you go, you come to an unsuspecting people. The land is spacious, for God has given it into your hands, a place where there is no lack of anything that is in the earth." So 600 men of the tribe of Dan, armed with weapons of war, set out from Zorah and Eshtaol, and went up and encamped at Kiriath Jearim in Judah. On this account, that place is called Mahaneh Dan to this day. Now it is west of Kiriath Jearim, and they passed on from there to the hill country of Ephraim, and came to the house of Micah. And the 5 men who had gone to scout out the country of Laish said to their brothers, "Do you know that in these houses there are no household gods, the carved image, and a metal image? Now therefore consider what you will do." And they turned aside then and came to the house of the young Levi at the home of Micah, and asked him about his welfare. Now 600 men of the Danites, armed with their weapons of war, stood by the entrance of the gate, and the 5 men who had gone to scout out the land went up and entered into the carved image, the ephod, the household gods, and the metal image, while the priest stood by the entrance of the gate with the 600 men armed with weapons of war. And they went into Micah's house, and took the carved image, the ephod, the household god, and the metal image. The priest said to him, "What are you doing?" And he said to him, "Keep quiet. Put your hand on your mouth and come with us and be to us a father and a priest. Is it better for you to be the priest to the house of one man, or to be priest to his tribe?" And the priest's heart was glad. He took the ephod and the household gods and the carved image, and went along with the people. And as they turned along and departed, go putting the little ones and the livestock and the goods in front of them. And they had gone a distance from the home of Micah. The men who were in the house and near Micah's house were caught up, and they urged the people of Dan. And they shouted to the people of Dan. And he turned around and said to Micah, "What's the matter with you that you come with such company?" And he said, "Will you take my gods that I made?" And the priest said, "Go away. And what have I left? How then do you ask me? What's the matter with you?" And Dan said to him, "Do not let your voice be heard among us, lest anger fairly fall upon you, and you lose your life with the lies of your household." And the people of Dan went their way. And when Micah saw that they were too strong for him, he turned and went back to his home. But the people of Dan took what Micah had made, and the priests who belonged to him. And they came to Laish, a people quiet and unsuspecting, and they struck with the edge of the sword and burned the city with fire. And there was no deliverer, because it was far from sea, and they had no dealings with anyone. It was in the valley that belongs to Beth Rehob. And they rebuilt the city and lived in it. And they named the city Dan, after the name of Dan, their ancestor. And it was born in Israel, but the name of the city was Laish at the first. And the people of Dan set the carved image for themselves. And Jonathan, the son of Gershon, son of Moses, and his sons were priests to the tribe of the Danites until the day of the captivity of them. So they set on Micah's carved image that he made, as long as the house of God was at Shiloh. And in those days when there was no king in Israel, certain Levi was sojourning in the remote parts of the hill country. and of the country of Ephraim. And he took himself a concubine from Bethlehem in Judah. And his concubine was unfaithful to him. And she went away from him to her father's house in Bethlehem in Judah, and was there some 4 months. Then her husband and after speak kindly to her and bring her back. He had with him his servant and a couple of donkeys, and she brought him into her father's house. And when the girl's father saw him, he came with joy to meet her. So the father-in-law, the girl's father, made him stay, and he remained there 3 days. So they ate and drank and spent the night there. On the 4th day they arose early in the morning, and he prepared to go. But the girl's father said to his son-in-law, strengthen your heart with him also, and that you may go. So the two of them ate and drank together, and the girl's father said to him, man, you please spend, and let your heart be known. And the man rose up to go, his father-in-law present, so he spent the night there again. On the 5th day he rose early in the morning to depart. And the girl's father said, strengthen your heart and wait until the day declines. So they ate both of them. And when the man and his concubine and his servant rose up to depart, and his father-in-law, the girl's father, said to him, behold, now the day is waned toward evening. Please spend the night. And behold, the day draws to its close. Lodge here and let your heart be merry. And tomorrow you shall arise early in the morning for your journey and go home. As the man would not spend the night, he arose up and departed and arrived opposite Jebus. And he had with him a couple of saddled donkeys, and his concubine was with him. And they were near Jebus, and the day was nearly over. And the servant said to the master, come now, let us turn aside to the sea of the Jebusites and spend the night there. And his master said, let us not turn aside to the sea of foreigners, no one who do not belong to the people of Israel, but will pass on to Gibeah. And he said to the young man, come and let's go near to one of these places and spend the night at Gibeah or at Ramah. So they passed on and went their way, and the sun went down and lived near Gibeah, which belongs to Benjamin. And they turned aside there and spent the night in Gibeah. And they went in and sat down in the open square of the sea. And no one took them into his house to spend the night. And behold, an old man was coming from his wife in the field at evening. The man was from the hill country of Ephraim, and he was sojourning in Gibeah. The man of the place where Benjamin lived. He lifted up his eyes and saw the trouble in the open square of the sea. And the old man said, where do you go, and where do you come from? And he said to him, we are passing from Bethlehem in Judah to the remote parts of the hill country of Ephraim, from which I come. I went to Bethlehem in Judah, and I am going to the house of the Lord. But no one has taken me into his house. We have straw and feed for our donkeys, with bread and wine for me and your female servant, and the young man without your servant. And there is no lack of anything. And the old man said, peace be to you. I will care for all your wants. Only do not spend the night in the square. So they brought them into his house and gave the donkeys feed. And they washed their feet, and ate and drank. And as they were making their hearts merry, behold, the men of the sea, worthless fellows, surrounded the house, raging on the door. And they said to the old man, the master of the house, bring out the men who came into your house, that we may know them. And the man, the master of the house, went out to them and said, no, my brothers, do not act so wickedly, since this man has come into my house. Do not do this real thing. Behold, here my virgin daughter and his concubine. And let me bring them out now. And we violate them and do with them what seems good to you. But against this man, do not do this outrageous thing. But the man would not listen to him. So the man seized his concubine and made her go out to them. And they knew her and abused her all night until the morning. And as the dawn began to break, they let her go. And as morning appeared, the woman came down and fell down at the door of the man's house, where her master was, until it was light. And the master rose up in the morning. And when he opened the doors of the house, he went up to go up on his way. Behold, there was his concubine lying at the door of the house, with her hands on the threshold. He said to her, get up, let us be going. But there was no answer. So then he put him on the donkey, and the man rose up and went away to his home. And when he entered his house, he took a knife, and taking hold of his concubine, he divided her, limb by limb, into 12 pieces, and sent her throughout all the territory of Israel. And all Israel said, such a thing has never happened or has seen from the day that all the people of Israel came up out of the land of Egypt until this day. Consider it, take counsel, and speak. And all the people of Israel came out from Dan to Beersheba, including the land of Gilead. And the congregation assembled one man to the Lord in Israel, and chiefs of all the people, and of all the tribes of Israel, presented themselves in the assembly of the people of God. 400,000 men on foot that drew the sword. And the people of Israel said, tell us, how does this evil happen? And Levi, the husband of the woman who was murdered, answered and said, we came to Gibeah that belongs to Benjamin. I and my concubine to spend the night. And the leaders of Gibeah rose against me, and surrounded the house against me by night. They meant to kill me, and they violated my concubine, and she is dead. So I took hold of my concubine, cut her in pieces, and sent her throughout all the country of the inheritance of Israel. And they committed an abomination and outrage in Israel. Behold, you people of Israel, all of you, give your advice and counsel here. And the people arose as one man, one man, saying, "None of us will go to his tent, and none of us will return to his house. And now this is what we will do to give you. We will go up against it by lot, and we will take 10 men of 100 throughout all the tribes of Israel, and 100 of 1,000, and 1,000 of 10,000, and to ring provisions for the people, that when they come they may repay Gibeah of Benjamin for all that rage that they have committed in Israel." So all the men of Israel went gathered against the city, united as one man, and the tribes of Israel sent men throughout all the tribe of Benjamin, saying, "What evil is this that has taken place among you? Now therefore give up the men, the worthless fellows in Gibeah, that we may put them to death and purge evil from Israel." But the Benjaminites would not listen to the voice of their brothers, the people of Israel. And the people of Benjamin came together out of the cities to Gibeah to go out to cities on that day, 26,000 men who drew the sword, besides the inhabitants of Gibeah. He mustered 700 chosen men. Among all these were 700 chosen men who were left-handed, everyone who could sling a stone at a head not miss. And the men of Israel, apart from Benjamin, mustered 400,000 men who drew the sword. All these were men of war. And the people of Israel arose and went up to Bethel and inquired of God, "We shall go up first to fight against the people of Benjamin." And the Lord said, "Judah shall go up first." And the people of Israel rose in the morning and encamped against Gibeah. And the men of Israel went out to fight against Benjamin. And the men of Israel drew up the battle line against them at Gibeah. The people of Benjamin came out of Gibeah and destroyed on that day 22,000 men of the Israelites. But the people of the men of Israel took courage and again fought in the battle in the same place where they had fought on the fourth day. And the people of Israel went up and wept before the Lord until the evening. And they inquired of the Lord, "Shall we again draw near to fight against our brothers, the people of Benjamin?" And the Lord said, "Go up against them." And the people of Israel went out against the people of Benjamin the second day. And Benjamin went out against them, and out of Gibeah the second day, and destroyed 18,000 men of the people of Israel. Well, these were the men who drew the sword. And all the people of Israel, the whole army, went up and came together and wept. They sat there before the Lord and fasted that day until evening, and offered burnt offerings and peace offerings before the Lord. And the people of Israel inquired of the Lord, saying, "Shall we go out once more to battle against our brothers, the people of Benjamin, or shall we cease?" And the Lord said, "Go up, for tomorrow I will give them into your hand." Israel set men in ambush around Gibeah, and the people of Israel went up against the people of Benjamin on the third day, and set themselves in array against Gibeah, as at other times. And the people of Benjamin went out against the people, and were drawn away from the city. And at other times they began to strike and kill some of the people in the highways, one of which goes up to Bethel, and the other to Gibeah in the open country, about 30 men of Israel. And the people of Benjamin said, "They are rude before us, as at the first." But the people of Israel said, "Let us flee and draw them away from the city to the highways." And all the men of Israel rose up out of their place and set themselves in array about Tamar. And the men of Israel who were in ambush rushed out of their place in Marageba. And they came against Gibeah, 10,000 chosen men out of war, and the battle was hard. But the Benjaminites did not know that disaster was close upon them. And the Lord defeated Benjamin before Israel. And the people of Israel destroyed 25,100 men of Benjamin that day. And all these were men who drew the sword. So the people of Benjamin saw that they were defeated. And the men of Israel gave ground to Benjamin, because they trusted the men in ambush whom they had set against Gibeah. And the men in ambush hurried and rushed against Gibeah. The men in ambush moved out and struck all the city with the edge of the sword. Now the appointed signal between the men of Israel and the men in the main ambush was that when they made a great cloud of smoke rise up out of the sea, the men of Israel should turn about. Now the Benjamin had begun to strike and kill about 30 men of Israel. They said, "Surely they are defeated before us, as in the first battle." But when the signal began to rise up out of the sea in a column of smoke, the Benjaminites looked behind, and behold, the whole sea went up in smoke to heaven. And the men of Israel turned, and the men of Benjamin were dismayed, for they saw that disaster was close upon them. And therefore they turned their backs before the men of Israel in the direction of the wilderness. And the battle overtook them, and those who came out of the sea were destroying them in their midst. Surrounding the Benjaminites, they pursued them and trod them down from the highest pass opposite Gibeah on the east. 18,000 men had Benjamin fell, all the men of valor. And they turned and fled toward the wilderness to the rocky rim. 5,000 men of them were cut down in the highways, and they were pursued hard to Edom, and 2,000 men of them were struck down. So all who fell that day out of each men, there were 25,000 men. He drew the sword. All the men of valor. So 600 men turned and fled toward the wilderness to the rock of Rimmon and remained at the rock of Rimmon 4 months. And the men of Israel turned back against the people of Benjamin and struck them with the edge of the sword, the city, men and beasts, and all that they found. And all the towns that they found, they set on fire. So now the men of Israel had sworn at Mizpah, none of us shall give his daughters in marriage to Benjamin. And the people of Israel, and the people came to Bethel and sat there till evening before God, and they lifted up their voices and wept bitterly. And they said, O Lord, the God of Israel, why has this happened in Israel, that today there should be one tribe lacking in Israel? And the next day the people rose early and built there an altar and offered burnt offerings and peace offerings. And the people of Israel said, which of all the tribes of Israel do not come up in the assembly to the Lord? And they had taken a great oath concerning him who did not come up to the Lord to Mizpah, saying, he shall surely be put to death. And the people of Israel had compassion for Benjamin their brother, and said, one tribe is cut off from Israel this day. What shall we do for wives of those who are left? Since we have sworn by the Lord that we will not give them any of our daughters for wives. And they said, what one is there of the tribes of Israel that did not come up to the Lord to Mizpah? And behold, no one had come into the camp from Jabesh Gilead to the assembly. And when the people were mustered, behold, not one of the inhabitants of Jabesh Gilead were there. So the congregation sent 12,000 of their bravest men there, and commanded them, go and strike the inhabitants of Jabesh Gilead with the edge of the sword, rest the women and the little ones. This is what you shall do. Devote every male and every woman that is laden with a male, you shall devote to destruction. And they found among the inhabitants of Jabesh Gilead 400 young virgins who had not known a man by lying with him. And they brought them to the camp of Shiloh, which is in the land of Canaan. And the whole congregation sent word to the people of Benjamin, and were at the rock of Ruth, and proclaimed peace to them. And Benjamin returned at that time, and they gave the woman whom they had saved the life of the woman of Jabesh Gilead, and they were not enough for them. And the people had compassion on Benjamin, because the Lord had made a breach in the tribes of Israel. And the elders of the congregation said, what shall we do for wives for those who are left, since the women are destroyed out of Benjamin? And they said, there must be an inheritance for the survivors of Benjamin, that our tribe not be blotted out from Israel, yet we cannot give them wives for our daughters. And the people of Israel had sworn, because be he who gives a wife to Benjamin. So they said, behold, there in the yearly feast of the Lord at Shiloh, it is north of Bethel, on the east of the highway that goes up from Bethel to Ship, and south of Lebonah. And they commanded the people of Benjamin, saying, go lie in ambush in the vineyards and watch. If the daughters of Shiloh come out to dance in the dance, then come out the vineyard and snatch each man his wife from the daughters of Shiloh, and go to the land of Benjamin. And when their fathers or their brothers come to complain to us, we will say to them, grant them graciously to us, because we did not take for each man of them his wife in battle, neither did you give them to them, else you would now be guilty. And the people of Benjamin did so, and took their wives, according to their number, from the dancers whom they carried off. And they went and returned to their inheritance, and rebuilt the towns and lived in them. And the people of Israel departed from there at that time, every man to his tribe and family. And they went out from there, every man to his inheritance. And in those days there was no king in Israel. Everyone did what was right in his own eyes. Ruth 1-2. And in the days when the judges ruled, there was a famine, and a man of Bethlehem in Judah went into sojourn in the country of Moab, he and his wife and his 2 sons. The name of the man was Elimelech, and the name of his wife Naomi. And the names of his 2 sons were Mahlon and Chilion. They were Ephrathites from Bethlehem in Judah. They went into the country of Moab and remained there. But Elimelech, their husband, Naomi died, and she was left with the 2 sons. These took Moabite wives. The name of the one was Orpah, and the name of the other Ruth. They lived there about 10 years, and both Mahlon and Chilion died, so that the woman was left without her 2 sons and her husband. And she arose with her daughters-in-law to return from the country of Moab, for she had heard in the fields of Moab that the Lord had visited his people and given them food. So she set off from the place where she was with her 2 daughters-in-law, and they went on the way to return to the land of Judah. And Naomi said to her 2 daughters-in-law, go, return each of you to her mother's house. May the Lord deal kindly with you, as you have dealt with the dead and with me. And the Lord grant you that you may find rest, each of you in the house of her husband. And she kissed her, and they lifted up their voices and wept. And they said to her, no, we will return to you to your people. And Naomi said, turn back, my daughters. Why will you go with me? Have I yet sons in my womb, that they may become your husbands? Turn back, my daughters, go your way, for I am too old to have a husband. If I should say I have heard, even if I should have a husband this night, and should bear son, would you therefore wait till they are grown? Would you therefore refrain from marrying? No, my daughter, it is exceedingly better to me for your sake that the hand of the Lord had gone out against me. And they lifted up their voices and wept again. And Orpah kissed her mother-in-law. Ruth clung to her, and she said, "See, your sister-in-law is going back to people and to her God. Return after your sister-in-law." But Ruth said, "Do not urge me to leave you or to return from following me. Where you go, I'll go, and where you lodge, I'll lodge. Your people shall be my people, and your God my God. Where you die, I will die, and there I will be buried. May the Lord do so to me, and more if anything but death parts me from you." And when Naomi saw that she was determined to go with her, she said no more. And the two of them went on until they came to Bethlehem, and the woman came to. And when they came to Bethlehem, the whole town was stirred with good stuff. And the woman said, "Is this Naomi?" She said to her, "Do not call me Naomi, call me Mara, for the Almighty has dealt very bitterly with me. I went away full, and the Lord has brought me back empty. I call me Naomi when the Lord has testified against me, and the Almighty has brought calamity upon me." So Naomi returned, and Ruth the Moabite, her daughter-in-law, with her, who returned from the country of Moab. And they came to Bethlehem at the beginning of the barley harvest. Now Naomi had a relative of her husband, a wealthy man of the clan of Elimelech, his name was Boaz. And Ruth the Moabite said to Naomi, "Let me go to the field and glean among the ears of grain after him, in whose sight I shall find favor." And she said to her, "Go, my daughter." So she went out and gleaned in the field after the reapers. And she happened to come to the part of the field belonging to Boaz, who was of the clan of Elimelech. And behold, Boaz came from Bethlehem, and he said to the reapers, "The Lord be with you." And they answered, "The Lord bless you." And Boaz said to the young man who was in charge of the reapers, "Whose young woman is this?" And the servant who was in charge of the reapers answered, "She's the young Moabite one, and came back with Naomi from the country of Moab." She said, "Please let me glean and gather among the sheaves after the reapers." So she came, and the sheaves continued from early morning until night, except for a short rest. And Boaz said to her, "Now listen, my daughter. Do not go to glean in another field or leave this one, but keep close to my young one. Let your eyes be on the field that they are reaping, and go after them. Have I not charged the young men not to touch it? And when you are thirsty, go to the vessels and drink what the young men have drunk." And she fell on her face, bowing to the ground, and said to her, "Why have I found favor in your eyes, that you should take me from me, since I am a foreigner?" But Boaz answered, "All that you have done for your mother-in-law since the death of your husband has been fully told to me, and how you left your father and mother and your native land, and came to a people that you did not know before. The Lord repay for what you have done, and a full reward be given to you by the Lord, God of Israel, under whose wings you have come to take refuge." Then she said, "I have found favor in your eyes, my Lord, for you have comforted me and spoken kindly to your servant, so I am not one of your servants." And at mealtime, Boaz said to her, "Come here and eat some bread, and dip your morsel in the water." So she sat beside the reapers, and she passed to her roasted grain, and she ate until she was satisfied, and she had some left over. And she rose to glean. Boaz instructed the young man, saying, "Let her glean even among the sheep, and do not reproach her. Also pull out some from the bundles for her, and leave it to her to glean, and do not rebuke her." So she gleaned in the field until evening. Then she beat up what she had gleaned, and it was about an ephah of barley, and she took it up and went into the sea. Her mother-in-law saw what she had gleaned. She also brought it out and gave her what food she had left over after being satisfied. Then her mother-in-law said to her, "Where did you glean today, and where have you worked? Blessed be the man who took notice of you." She told her mother-in-law with whom she had worked, and said, "The man's name with whom I work today is Boaz." And Naomi said to her daughter-in-law, "May he be blessed by the Lord, whose kindness has not forsaken the living or the dead." Naomi also said to her, "The man is a close relative of ours, one of our redeemers." And Ruth the Moabite said, besides, he said to her, "Shall keep close by my young man until they finish all my harvest." And Naomi said to Ruth, her daughter-in-law, "It is good, my daughter, that you have gone out with this young. You go out with the young one, lest in another field you be assaulted." So she kept close to the young woman of Boaz, waiting until the end of the barley and wheat harvest, and she lived with her mother-in-law. Proverbs 6. My son, if you have security for your neighbor, have given your pledge for sin. If you are snared in the words of your mouth, caught in the words of your mouth, induce my son and save yourself. For you have come into the hand of your neighbor. Go, hasten and plead urgently with your neighbor. your neighbor. Give your eyes no sleep, and your eyelids no slumber. Save yourself like a gazelle from the hand of the hunter, like a bird from the hand of the fowler. Go to the ant, O slave, consider her ways and be wise. Without having any chief officer at all, she prepares her bread and gathers her food in house. How long will you lie there, O slug? When will you arise from your sleep? A little sleep, a little slumber, and a little folding of the hands to rest. And poverty will come upon you like a robber, and want like a nightmare. The worthless person, a wicked man, who goes about with fruitless speech, moves with his eyes, signals with his feet, points with his finger. The perverted heart devises evil, continually setting discord. Therefore calamity will come upon him suddenly. In a moment he will be broken beyond healing. There are 6 things that the Lord hates, 7 that are abomination to him: 40 eyes, lying tongue, and hands that shed innocent blood, a heart that devises wicked plans, feet that make haste to run to evil, a false witness who breathes out lies, and one who sows discord among brothers. My son, keep your father's commandment, and forsake not your mother's teaching. Bind them on your heart always, and tie them around your neck. When you walk, they'll lead you. When you lie down, they'll watch over you. And when you awake, they'll talk with you. For the commandment is life, and the teaching of life, and the reproof of discipline are the way of life, to preserve you from the evil one, from the smooth tongue of the adulteress. Do not desire her beauty in your heart, and do not let her capture you with her eyelashes. For the price of a prostitute is only a loaf of bread. If a married woman has done a precious life, can a man carry fire next to his chest, and his clothes not be burned? Or can anyone walk on hot coals, and his feet not be scorched? So as he who goes into his neighbor's wife, and only trusts himself will go unpunished. Evil do not despise a thief if he steals, to satisfy his appetite when he is hungry. If he is cold, he will pay 7-fold. He will give all his goods to of his house. He who commits adultery lacks sense. He who does it destroys himself. He will get wounds and dishonor, and disgrace will not be wiped away. For jealousy makes a man furious, and he will not spare when he takes revenge. He will accept no compensation. He will refuse though you multiply gifts. Psalm 130. Out of the depths I cry to you, O Lord, hear my voice. Let your ears be attentive to the voice of my pleas for mercy. If you, O Lord, should mark iniquities, O Lord, who could stand? What you there is forgiveness, that you made me fear. I wait for the Lord, my soul waits, and in this word I hope. My soul waits for the Lord, more than watchmen for the morning. There is a hope in the Lord, for with the Lord there is steadfast love, and with him he is plentiful to redemption, and he will redeem Israel from all his iniquities. Now this time I should now do the Lord's Prayer. Let me bow your heads. Our Father in heaven, hallowed be your name. Your kingdom come, your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us today our daily bread. Forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from the evil one. For yours is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever. Amen. See you tomorrow. Bye.